Hello guys, very good morning. Thanks for your time for joining this demo. And I have my experience. I have 10 plus years of experience in IT industry, where I do take care of consulting, implementation, and administration of Microsoft and VMware product. In cloud services, I take care of Azure Active Directory administration and implementation, and also Azure administration and migrating to Azure services, and also Office 365 implementation and migrating services from on-prem to Office 365 or from any cloud to Office 365. And in on-prem, I take care of virtualization in VMware administration as well as Microsoft Hyper-V. And also I take care of Microsoft services like Windows Server administration and any roles or services running on top of Windows Server, I take care of it. So this is a brief introduction about myself. Okay, so let's start with the course content. So wherein this demo is about the Azure Administration AZ-104. Okay, so these are the main course content wherein we'll be covering. So this is designed based on this Microsoft Azure certification AZ-104. So there are total 15 plus modules wherein we'll be covering in this entire training. And this training will run 30 or 30 plus hours. And it's a 90% practical oriented, wherein a few baseline we discuss about the theory part, and we'll discuss about the service, and I'll be showing how to deploy the services. So what are the topics we'll be covering in this entire training? So in the first, we'll be covering like what is cloud, what are the benefits of cloud, types of cloud and types of cloud services, and what is Microsoft Azure, what are the ways wherein you'll be administering the Microsoft Azure. We'll be discussing on the module 1, and in the module 2 wherein we'll be covering like what is Azure subscription, means how to create the subscription, and how do you control your subscription, and how do you manage your services or resources in Azure. We'll be seeing in the module 2. And in the module 3 we'll be covering like what is virtual machine, like one of the workload we'll be taking like a compute workload. What is virtual machine in Azure, how to create and how to manage the virtual machine in Azure, we'll be seeing. And also as a part of automation, wherein we'll be seeing the ARM templates, what is ARM template and what is the overall schema, how the entire program will be written, we'll be trying to understand in the module 3. And in the module 4, wherein we'll be understanding like whenever you get any requirement, how do you deal with the new requirement to host the services in Azure, and what will be the costing, right? So mainly we'll be looking into the estimation part here. So we use the Azure calculator, and we'll see how we can calculate the costing when you want to create any services before you uh, start using the services. And then we'll be covering on the storage part, like how do you use Microsoft Azure as your storage solution, right? To keep your data, how do you use the Microsoft Azure? So we'll be understanding on the storage part. And next is the networking, wherein you will be trying to understand what is virtual network in Azure, how to create the virtual network in Azure. When you're deploying multiple network in Azure, how do you connect each other to have your traffic flow? And if you want to extend your on-premises infrastructure to Azure in a hybrid scenario, how do you do that using the site-to-site VPN, as well as from your individual computer with the point-to-site VPN? And also we'll be seeing like a how do you host your application in a high availability with a load balancing solution. So we see what is Azure load balancer, how to implement the load balancing solution, and how do you manage your workload. So this part will be covered in the networking. And also when you create a network in Azure, and if you want to control the internal traffic flow, right, so how do you do that? We see what is network security group and how do you control your internal traffic flow using the network security group. We'll look into it. So far with this 7 modules, wherein we'll be covering the base services like compute, network, and storage. Then later on we'll be seeing like what will be your day-to-day activities with respect to the Azure administration, with respect to your virtual machine workload, dealing with the storage part, network part, and also the compute part and other services, right? So we see in the general admin task. And again, we'll be seeing like when you want to deploy any virtual machine for your application, and if you want this application with an high availability services, So what all the high availability option you will have with respect to your virtual machine to host it. So we'll be seeing the availability set and availability zone, and also we'll be seeing the skill set. Like how do you automate your horizontal scaling with the scale set services. And we'll be covering two PaaS service. So one is the application service, like instead of means one way where you can host your services like web application as your IaaS model, like OS and your web application, then your website, you can host it. So with the platform as a service, wherein you can directly create your platform and you'll be hosting your website by managing your web code. So we'll be seeing that service, which is called app service. And also we'll be seeing the database service, like in a traditional way, we deploy the OS and the database application and the database instance, and we'll be managing end to end. So in PaaS, wherein we'll be directly creating the database and we'll be managing that. So we'll see how to create and how to access and how to manage in the module level. And also as a part of identity and access management, we'll be discussing like what is Azure Active Directory, what are the Azure AD Premium features, and how do you create your users groups and how do you control the permissions to them, and how do you integrate your on-prem Active Directory with Azure AD. We'll be seeing with the Azure Active Directory services in the module 13. And in module 14, wherein we'll be seeing like if you are running your workload in on-prem, how do you protect your data, right? So Azure provides a backup, a kind of backup solution called as an Azure Recovery Services. Like you can protect your on-premises files and folders, on-premises virtual machine or physical server, as well as cloud virtual machines. So we'll be seeing the Azure Recovery Services in that part. And then we'll be covering on monitoring and troubleshooting of your workload running in Azure. And also we'll be covering the introduction to containers, how to run the containers in Azure, what is Kubernetes. Right, so these are the topics wherein we'll be covering in this entire training. Apart from this, if you want to add up any other topics with related to the Azure administration, we can add that up. Okay, yeah. Any doubt, any questions on this course content, please let me know.
So, is this every day 1 hour session?
Yeah, so Monday to Friday, it will be every day 1 hour session. So in a week, we'll be covering 5 hours.
Okay.
Okay, and what would be the timings of that 1 hour session? Because
So it will
I
be,
am,
Mhm.
I mean, are you going to be focusing only on local people in India, or you will consider offshore also? Means I am in US.
Okay, so probably this will be running on the same time, 7 a.m. IST to 8 a.m. IST. Hope
Okay,
this time
that
for you.
works. That works.
Yeah.
Hi Ravi, good morning. My name is Ram.
Right.
Ravi, in the networking part, right? Load balances we are covering, right? So instead of load balances, what are the application load balances? I mean, application gateways or all these things. So also we can cover it or what it is?
So in AZ 104, it's not there, but if you want to cover application gateway also, we'll cover it. No worries. See, any content
Okay,
event you want to cover, let me know. We'll include that. No issues with that.
okay. And migrations parts also we are covering, right? Migration, how we can migrate the on-premise to cloud on these things also we can cover here or is there anything?
Migration, basically, it's an architect content. So, but still, if you want to include the migration,
No,
we'll do that.
even basic things like how can we migrate and all this
We'll do
stuff.
that.
What are the
We'll do that.
procedures?
Yes, yes, yes. So anything related to administration, no? If you want to
Hmm.
include, let me know. After completing this content, we'll include that. No issues with that.
so this is enough for
Fine.
the certification, Ravi?
If you say if you're looking for an Azure administration, this content is good. And anything you want to add related to that, we can add it up.
Yeah, we don't know
Yeah.
what to add. You need to tell because you're in Azure.
I mean, we can do one thing.
Mm.
The gentleman who was talking is more towards architecture. Then even I am interested in architecture. So after
Mm.
this administration, I would go one more step ahead. And in case you offer architecture, I'll go for that too.
Yeah, sure, sure. So the next slide I'll cover like what is your learning path in Azure. so which gives you more idea. Then you can choose, okay, whether I want to go with the architecture or a DevOps or whatever. So
Yeah.
that helps.
Hey, Ravi, small question I have means I never saw anybody creating virtual machines front end. So, do you use any DevOps like Terraform or CLI used to create for the virtual machines?
Here, wherein Microsoft Azure offers you the ARM templates. So ARM templates is a similar kind of thing, whatever you do the coding part. So you can create your custom template. So you can use the template and you can deploy it. So one example I'll show you. And also I'll show you one thing wherein I have a next hour one class wherein I will be discussing on the VPN. So I just want to deploy the services. I'll show you like how the practical will work. Okay. So this is the Azure portal. So for the next hour, I have one more batch, which is running like today. I'll be covering the VPN. So VPN will take at least 30 to 40 minutes to deploy. So I'll just show you like I'll prepare the infrastructure. This is how the lab session will be done. Okay. So let me create on resource group first. So I'll say this is my VPN lab. See, basically
Yeah,
whatever you. Mhm.
yeah. This one also usually we use from the back end, right? Normally we don't go front end in real time.
Yeah. So this is your custom template, which is already available from Microsoft. Okay.
No,
So where
no, Ravi, probably he is asking about instead of GUI method, right? He's asking automation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That is what I was trying to tell you. So now I'll show you one thing. So here you're creating something here. Okay, this is a GUI. This option is available directly. Means this is the default template which is created by Microsoft, which you can use it. Even you can write your custom template, means your custom code
So
to
you
have
will
your
teach
custom.
them, right, Ravi?
Yeah, so we'll be covering this introduction to ARM templates.
Oh, just introduction. We don't do in depth on that.
See, ARM
Because
template
in
is
real-time environment, nobody gives access to the front end to create any virtual machines or VPN, virtual networks, or resource groups. Anything they don't give access.
but still, if you have permission only, then you can create now. Either you do it a front end or a back end, whatever the credentials you use. So wherein you will be able to do it, whatever the permissions you have to do it on the front end. So obviously you'll be able to do it on the back end as well. No worries, we'll cover it up. So anything you want to add now, we'll cover it up. But when you're looking like an Terraform or something, no, it's a different content.
Yeah, it's DevOps related. And
But still, this ARM template will be covering like how. See, this template is show. It's asking you to supply something. So one thing you're supplying the information and it is deploying. So it is deploying because I have a permission to do that. So either
yeah,
you do it this way or through command line, both are the same. It's the permissions level.
yeah, we can do one thing. Maybe you can show front end and also back end. So one, you can create front end and show how to create from the back end through ARM. That way, it's
Guys, guys, let's proceed. I mean, this is a demo class. This is not a hands-on nuts bolts. Okay.
We'll cover it up. Don't worry.
okay. Thank you. Who was that talking before?
That's fine. No worries.
It's just we wanted to clear off everything. If somebody
Yeah, yeah,
has concerns, that's fine.
yeah. No. Yes, yes. Okay, cool. So now you can see this is how we're in the practicals run. So basically, I'll be explaining what is a virtual network, then I'll be deploying it. And again, wherein I'll be helping you to create your accounts and you can create your account and where you can do your practicals over there. Okay. Yeah, and also there's a question whether recordings for practice. Yes, you get a recorded session. Probably you can download that. So whatever the material I'll show here, I'll be sharing it up. You can download that as well. And in any assistance required for certification, yes, we'll support for that as well. Okay, yeah. So let me deploy one VPN here. So basically, this whatever we deploy here now, this is a UI based, but still, this is a built-in templates. The what do you say? Whatever you say, the front end or whatever. Okay, but still, wherein you will be able to create your own custom templates, wherein we will be explaining about the ARM template, the overview, and how do we work on that. Okay, so this is wherein before deploying the service, I'll be explaining each and every steps, and then deploy the services, then afterwards configuration. So this is how the lab session will be run. Okay, so whatever you see, this is your live portal. What you do it in your production here is also the same. So wherein this is a free trial account, what we'll be working, where we'll be exploring our entire products. Okay, all right. So anything related to contents, now see, contents basically focusing on this one, AZ104, which is for the Azure administration. Like if you're looking at administration, these are the topics will be covered. So the next step, so whenever you say like Terraform or other things, it's a kind of DevOps part. So there is another track for that as well. So that is the next step where you can learn. Okay, we are totally focused on this, and along with that, few real-time scenarios will be working on it. So this is the main content what we are focusing. Okay. All right. So let's move to the next slide. See, content parts, don't worry. Anything related to Azure Admin will include that. Okay. Okay, let me run this slide. See, if I'm going fast or if you have any doubt, any questions, you can stop me and you can ask me anytime. So when you talk about the certification path, so what is the learning path? So what is the step I need to start and what is the next I can do it, right? So these are the certification track in Microsoft Azure. So there's a certification called AZ900, which talks the complete fundamentals of Microsoft Azure. So which talks what is cloud computing, what is Azure, and what are the services. So this is purely on theory part, AZ900. And when you're looking for a certification, it's an optional one. So you don't have to worry that it's not a prerequisite to start. Okay, it's an optional one, AZ900. Earlier, this Azure admin was called AZ103, and since last year, it has been renamed the updated contents with AZ104, which is what wherein we'll be going through this entire training. AZ104 is for Azure administration, right? So there are two tracks what we can see. One is the development and the other one is the infrastructure administration, whatever the developed, wherein we'll be helping to host them on the infrastructure. So Azure Administrator is the one wherein we'll be dealing with the complete infrastructure administration here. And also here, there is no development what we do in administration, as we don't learn any development part. So it's purely administering your infrastructure. When you talk about any scripting or any automation you want to learn, yes, you'll be learning it with respect to managing your infrastructure, not developing anything. Okay, that is one thing. So after completing this course, yes, you can take your certification AZ104. So you'll be certified as a Azure Administration or a Azure Admin Associate. If you are looking on a development path, so let's take example, I'm from a development background and I'm looking for a development or developing solution in Microsoft Azure, then your content will be AZ204, right? AZ204 is a course content which talks about the developing solution in Microsoft Azure, right? So if you're looking development, so this is the right track, 204. Okay. And if you're looking or if you're interested in to learn Azure DevOps, right? So how you can make your DevOps services using in Azure. So one way is you can do AZ104 plus AZ400 or AZ204 plus AZ400. With these two certification or with these two content, wherein you'll be able to learn Azure DevOps Engineer Expert content. Got it? So this is a track if you're looking on a Azure DevOps part. Okay. Suppose if you're not interested in DevOps, I don't want to do DevOps, but still I want to enhance my skill in Azure level. So in that scenario, you can take the architect. So AZ300 was earlier paper code. Now it is called AZ303. And additionally, you should take one more content, which is AZ304. So Azure Architect is not having any prerequisite. Even now you can learn Architect and you can work on it. But what will happen here? So you should know the Azure administration content, right? So how the infrastructure is hosted in the Azure, you should be knowing it. Then you can take AZ303 because few contents are repeated, but whatever the content is repeated, we don't talk on the baseline. So when you say to create a virtual machine, what are the prerequisites and what are the things you should take care, that will not be discussed in the architect, wherein those content will be discussed in the Azure admin. So architect wherein we'll be discussing on the second level of the infrastructure part. So AZ303 is not having any prerequisite, but still you should have a knowledge about AZ104. Then you can go with AZ303 plus 304. With that, you'll be having the knowledge of Azure Solution Architect Expert. Okay, so this is your career track in Microsoft Azure. And also there are different tracks like security is there, like how do you configure your security solution in Azure. So you can take that course afterwards, even Azure admin, as well as like after admin, you can also take that course, which is AZ 500, so which is a relevant track. So when you say the data engineering and all, Azure admin plus data engineering, it's not a proper combination, what I can say. So if you're looking on the data level part, like data science or something, then there is a different track. So after this, like admin or the architect or the DevOps, even you can take AZ 500 also. That's a part of security, wherein you'll be understanding like how to secure or how do you manage the security things on your Azure infrastructure. Okay, so this is about the Microsoft certification part. So if you have any doubt, any questions, let me know.
No, Ravi, it's clear.
Hi Ravi. So I'm from different stream. I mean, I'm not into like administrator. I'm from security. So is it mandatory to do AZ 900 before starting this admin course?
Not required. So when you talk about the AZ 900, no, so it's not
Mm-hmm.
required to cover the AZ 900. So the required things will be covered in the 104 itself. And AZ 900 will cover the very baseline of the cloud and Azure and theory part of the services in Azure. But 104 will be exploring each and every services and the dependencies, how to create and how to manage everything. Will be doing it in the AZ 104. And also we'll be covering the real-time scenarios as well here. So whatever we do, right? So here, whatever I deployed just now, the services
Mm-hmm.
are deployed. So you'll be deploying your services in real time.
Okay.
Oh,
So
so
actually, I'm planning to move to. I mean, I got other role in my same company, so I was trying to move. So this should help fulfilling that, right?
exactly. So what will happen
Yeah.
here? So far, we know the on-premises infrastructure, how to run your services, like you have a physical hardware like compute, network, storage, and other networking
Mhm.
devices. We'll be managing it. And apart from that, the application we use. But in cloud, how do we manage? So if you want to understand the baseline, 104 is the base content wherein you'll be understanding that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and also like if at all, if anyone is not shared their details, please request you to share your phone number and email ID to the organizer. So in the chat box, you can select the Visualpath admin organizer and you can share your contact details so that they'll be sharing the materials and other things to your email ID. And also they'll be sharing up the links with your contact details. All right, so now, so far we understood what we are going to learn here and what are the career or the certification path or the learning path in Microsoft Azure. So now the question is like, can I take this course and will this suits to my profile or not, right? So when you say the Azure admin or the cloud admin, basically it's a good start for a fresh year. Let's take example, you just completed your graduation and you want to start your career and you're planning to start your career as a cloud admin in Azure. Yes, it's a good start for them as well, fresh year. And also if you are an expertise in any domain, like you are expertise in network, your expertise in storage or virtualization or on a Windows, whatever, right? Yes, even for them also it's a good start to start their career as a cloud admin or Azure admin. Or if you are from a different technical domain, right? You're working as a DB admin or you're working as a SAP consultant, whatever. And now you want to switch your career as a cloud admin. Yes, even that's also a good start where you can start as Azure admin. Or if you're from a non-technical background, yes, even for them also it's a good start to start their career as a cloud admin. Okay, means wherein we'll be learning the from the baseline on the Azure, so that anyone can accommodate that. But still, there is a prerequisite. So if you know that, well and good. Otherwise, along with the course, yes, you have to learn that, because there are a few things wherein we'll be working on the cloud. So as a cloud admin, you'll not be working on only one particular uh, services, wherein you'll be managing everything. Okay. Yeah. So what is the prerequisite? What you should know is the basic operating system administration, right? So we create the Windows or Linux machine in the cloud. So you should be knowing like how to connect the server, and what are the ways to connect, and if any connectivity issue, the basic troubleshooting or basic connect accessibility, you should be knowing it, managing your OS. Suppose if you have more knowledge, also well and good. At least you should have a minimum knowledge to manage that. So along with this course, yes, you can learn. And if you need any assistance, you can let me know. I'll guide you. And also you should be knowing about the virtualization concepts. So not in depth on the virtualization. If you have in-depth knowledge, that's also good. But you should be knowing what is virtualization, and what is a virtual machine, what is a virtual disk, what is a virtual network, what is a virtual NIC. So this concept, because whatever we create in the cloud will be on a virtualization platform, so that you'll be understanding when you create something, what will happen in a backend, right? And also you should be knowing about the storage part, like what is SAN, NAS, DAS, right? So how it will be helpful in terms to keep your data, because here you'll not be touching only on the cloud. So there will be a scenario wherein you'll be touching your on-premises infrastructure as well. So having this knowledge will help you to manage your day-to-day activities. And also you should be knowing about the networking. So networking is one of the core component, wherein you should know the basics of networking, like what is IP address, what are the types of IP address, and what are the classes of IP address, and what is basic subnetting, and what is the network devices like switches, routers, firewalls, what is the purpose of it, how that will help you, right? So these are the base things what you should know. And also you should know some services like what is DNS, what is Active Directory, what is VPN, and what is encryption, and what is the use of backup, what is disaster recovery services, right? So all this are the base things what you need to know, or you can learn along with the course. So some baseline, because we'll be uh, like you'll be hearing this word while working in as a cloud admin. Okay. Yeah. So these are the prerequisites what I can say. Suppose if you have in-depth knowledge, that's also good, so it will help you. And also if you're interested to learn, yes, you can learn more on that as well. Okay, so any questions on the prerequisite part? Like if you have any questions, like I'm on this domain, whether it's a good start, any questions like that, let me know. Okay, all right,
So
if you have
do
any
you
questions.
use the Kerberos?
Sorry, Kerberos
Is
is
that
an authentication method what we use. So like in Azure, we don't deal very in depth on that. So I just need to remove that particular one. That's fine.
but
So basically,
AD is the main name, right? Active Directory?
exactly, that is the main word.
Okay.
Ravi, question regarding, uh, of course, market leader is Amazon right now. What is the
Mhm.
percentage of market share for Azure vis-a-vis AWS?
See, when you talk about the cloud services adoption in the market, right? Yes,
Hmm.
AWS is leading, and same time when you see the next cloud is Azure itself. And also nowadays you can see the Azure adoption is very high with respect to the infrastructure part, or with respect to the data part, or with respect to the developing solution in Azure as well. So what we can see, the next competitor in the cloud, or the second competitor in the cloud, is Azure, what we can say. Because we see a lot of cloud services like Office 365 we use in Microsoft, right? So which is cloud-based solution. So when you're using Office 365, again, yes, you'll be using the other cloud services like Azure Active Directory, and also other services like Intune, right? So there are many services we use. And same time, the Azure cloud adoption is also high in the market, like what you can see nowadays, right? So the adoption is more. And also when you compare with the AWS, no, like Azure is very flexible and open, and you can easily manage your Azure. Their documentation and the steps to manage everything is pretty straightforward.
Thank you.
Yeah, even when you look into the job, no, like the AWS and Azure, yes, you can see a good amount of job opportunities compared to other cloud. See, one more thing, if you're good in one cloud, now you can manage other cloud as well. There is no much difference. Okay, the services name and the way you manage the services and the costing, the options to manage the services will vary. Apart from that, max to max, the things are same, right? So there is no difference between like when you want to create a network in Azure, obviously create a network in AWS, and there are custom services wherein which may vary. Apart from that, the baseline base services remains the same. Okay, if you want to create a virtual machine, is the same in Azure as well as AWS. The way of management is also the same. Management in the sense the scope of management. And when you want to create some PaaS services, it may vary there, because the PaaS will be the customized services wherein you'll be directly giving the platform to the user to control it. Okay. All right. So now what will be the role, right? Like few of them will have a question like, okay, if I'm an Azure admin, and if you're an Azure admin, what will be your day-to-day job, right? So that is what we'll be covering. And also about the this one, the training will be resuming from Monday. Like once Monday, it will be starting the regular batch. Okay, 7 a.m. IST time. Okay, all right. So now let's take example after completing this course. What will be my uh, role, or what will be my day-to-day activity? So we're in the cloud, right? So basically, when I say Azure, the AWS or whatever, though, so this we can say it as a software-defined data center, right? So means uh, here you'll not be managing any physical infrastructure, and you'll not be managing any physical servers or physical network or physical storage devices, wherein you'll be deploying the services, managing the services, everything through the software. So we can say it as a software defined data center. Okay, so wherein you can manage your entire IT lifecycle model here, like developing your solution and deploying your solution and testing your solution and updating or upgrading as and when required, and decommissioning, right? So entire IT lifecycle model will be able to manage in the cloud, and wherein you'll be getting a request from the end user to develop, deploy the services. Let's take example, if someone want to develop and host their application, so they might get a request to you to create the infrastructure, like creating the network, creating the storage solution for that, and creating the compute workload, and then configuring your security thing, like what to or where to get access to this application, right? And then the developed application will be hosted there, and you'll be managing that. Okay, so you'll be getting the request like that to manage your infrastructure. And also you'll be managing the capacity, like what is the workload has been assigned, like what is the resources been assigned, like compute, network, storage, and whether it's an under provision or overutilized, right? So you'll be monitoring it, and you'll be fine tuning it as per your requirement. And most of the time, like there will be other service provider, the services will be integrated with your Azure. So in that scenario, you'll be working with the vendors to get the things sorted and get your infrastructure up and running. And also you'll be able to manage your Azure through the graphical user interface, so what we have just seen. And also you can manage your Azure using the command line tool, right? So both way you can manage your Azure infrastructure. So whatever you can do in the graphical user interface, yes, means whatever you want to do, you can do it in the GUI. And same time in the CLI or the PowerShell, yes, you can do the same and more, you can do it. Okay, so these are the two ways wherein you'll be managing your Azure infrastructure. Yeah, so here you'll be managing the OS level, like Windows or Linux, and the virtualization, like deploying the virtual services and managing your entire cloud infrastructure, and the storage and networking part. So these are the things what you'll be taking care in the Azure cloud. Any doubt, any questions? So we just saw like deploying one virtual network and deploying one VPN here. So now we'll see deploying one virtual machine, okay, and we'll see how to connect and how to access and how do we manage that. So let's take example. You have a requirement where in order to host your application, you required one Windows Server 2012 or Linux, whatever, a virtual machine you want to deploy in some part of the, like in one of the region. So here we'll take like I want to deploy this virtual machine in east part of US, and you want a configuration like 8 GB RAM with the 2 CPU, some amount of storage space. Okay,
Ravi, are you
so
sharing, Ravi?
you're not able to see my screen, guys. One second.
Only PowerPoint blank screen we can see.
Yeah, I just I was explaining that. Okay.
Okay, we see.
Yeah. So I was just telling like what is the use case or the scenario where you'll be looking into it. Okay, so now you want to create a virtual machine, Windows Server 2012 with 8 GB RAM, 2 CPU, and some amount of storage space. And you want this machine to be hosted in east part of US. Okay, let's see how to create this virtual machine in the cloud and Azure, and how to connect and how to access that so that you get some idea. So this is an IaaS model, infrastructure as a model, infrastructure as a service model. Okay, and in your Azure portal, you search for virtual machine. So this is the console where you can see all your compute workload, all your virtual machine will be shown in this window. So now I want to deploy a virtual machine. So using this portal, you can deploy, or using the command line, you can deploy. So create a new virtual machine. So this is how our lab will run. So wherein we'll be covering we'll be understanding the base theory concept. Then while deploying the services, I'll be explaining each and every options, and then we will be deploying it. Okay, so for now, I'll straightforward deploy it. So I'll say this is my SQL server. Okay, which region physically you want this machine to be placed, you can select it. And what is the image, you'll be selecting it. So what is the configuration? So let me select 2 CPU with 8 GB RAM. So this is the login credentials. So this is a local account which will be created in the virtual machine to log in and to manage it. Okay, so other option will go as it is. We don't want to change anything. So for now, we'll just deploy a VM with the default settings. Yeah, so this is how wherein you'll be placing a request through UI, and also if you are trying to do with the command line, also you can do. It's a similar kind of thing. Only thing you have to write the commands. That's it. So with this requirement, like with this request, a virtual machine is getting created. Microsoft Azure data center in the east part of US. Okay, it will take 1 or 2 minutes to get deployed. Then we'll see how to connect and how to access this. Okay, it's
Yeah, hi.
deploying. Hey,
Hi,
hi. Go ahead.
yeah, this is Srinivas. Like
Yes.
everything we will be practicing in cloud, right?
Yeah, everything. This is the portal. This is the real time of what you do in your production as well. It's the same portal
Mm.
wherein will be. So I
Yeah,
can
like
say
my
9.
question. Yeah, like my question is, how much cloud space you are going to provide us for our practical sessions?
See, wherein I'll be helping to create your free trial account. So with the free trial, yes, you can create the required all the services in cloud, but there will be a limitation. Means you can create a virtual machine up to 4 core in a single region. but still that's enough us to create multiple machines in a single region or multiple region, and we can practice everything.
Yeah,
So you
thank
have
you.
to deactivate every day, am right? Otherwise, it will charge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What even I do, like, I create
Yeah.
on resource. I deploy all the services. So once the lab is done, I'll delete it. So
So
whenever it
resource
required, it,
is okay, am right? VM only it costs more.
yeah, because it will be consuming your CPU, RAM, and also the disk. No,
It's
the
a server.
virtual, yeah. So other way, what you can do, you can stop the machine and you can start it back tomorrow, so that the charges will be very minimal. All right. So now you can see the virtual machine being deployed. So now this machine we have open to the internet with the public IP. So I'm just taking this public IP. Since it's a Windows machine, we will access with the RDP. If it's a Linux machine, we'll be accessing via SSH. But this public IP we don't assign a real time. So basically, we'll be accessing with the private IP, wherein your machine will be in the private network. So at present, I don't have any private connection to this Azure environment. So that's why I'm exposing this VM in to the internet. So the way you access your on-premises machine, like taking RDP or SSH, same way you do access here, no difference. Okay. So I'm using this remote desktop application and I'm just accessing this machine. So the credentials are already saved in the application. So it's picking up the credentials. So now you can see I have connected to this machine. And this is how wherein we'll be connecting in our on-prem as well, right? So this is how wherein we'll be connecting in on-prem, like taking RDP, or if it's a Linux, we'll take the SSH. So from here, installing application, managing everything will take care. So this is one of the example of infrastructure as a service, IaaS model. Okay, there are some services which are PaaS model. We'll be covering slowly one by one. Okay, from here onwards, any application you want to install and host, you can do it. And same time, wherein if you want to make this server to be part of your Active Directory domain, you want to log in with your domain credential, everything can be done, no difference here. So we can just say you're hosting your data center in Microsoft Cloud. That's it. It's similar to that only.
Can we connect this server from the command line?
This machine from command line you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, you can do. See, how do you do with a regular? No, like you have your PowerShell, or if you're trying to connect this machine. See here, there are two things. One is managing infrastructure, and other one is inside the infrastructure. So if you're asking to manage this Azure environment with the command line, yes, you can do that. Okay, that is one thing, like
So
deploying the VM.
so here you choose Windows. If I choose Linux, it won't give any UI, right?
Yeah, Linux, you don't get UI, but still, if you want to enable, now you can run the command line and you can enable. But basically, you access your Linux using the SSH, no, like command line, so you can manage in that way. But still,
Okay.
you can do that. See, UI, you will be doing this one, no? Like installing the GNOME or something, right? So there is an you can enable the UI if at all, if in a Ubuntu, Linux. Like basically, I don't have much exposure on the Linux part, but still, few cases I worked with the command line. You have option to enable the UI,
For Linux, you can go through PuTTY.
PuTTY. That's right. And if
PuTTY,
you want to,
PuTTY is a SSH tool.
that's right.
So
That's
what is
right.
the volume you gave for this server? 8 GB is the RAM, right?
Yeah, 8 GB RAM and 2 CPU, but still you have a very good configuration here. So let me show you what is the maximum configuration you can
You
do
can see
without.
from Windows also, right? The folder size.
Sorry.
You can see from the Windows server also. You already opened the server,
Yeah, you can do that.
the folder
So
size.
how do you manage? Is the same, no difference here. Either on the cloud or on-prem, is the same. 8 GB RAM.
8 GB RAM. Okay.
Yeah.
The size is there. It's behind the window.
That's what we're talking now. 120. See, this is a default you get.
Oh,
If
130 GB almost. Wow.
sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's almost 130 GB, right?
Now this is your temporary storage. You forget this one.
The
Only this
C,
one.
C.
Yes, almost 130 GB. That's right.
Yeah,
You have option to add up the space, whatever the space
that's
you want
right.
to.
Yeah.
Okay, and also like you're asking the kind of automation. Here you can see it's a single VM. It's not a single VM. Basically, there are multiple resources are deployed here. I'll show you what are the resources deployed. So this is a compute. This is a public IP deployed for this machine. This is a network security group to access the RDP. This is the network card of this machine. This is the hard disk of this machine. So these are the 5 resources are deployed in a single template. Means you can have your customized template where you can have your entire infrastructure configuration on that. Okay, so that is your ARM template.
These are the default ones.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you
This,
selected, these are the default one when we create the VM.
see, since we expose this machine to internet, so that's why we add additional 2 things. Otherwise, this compute, this NIC card, and this hard disk, these are the 3 default things will be created when you create a VM.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. One more thing, like if you have not shared your contact details, please share your phone number and email ID to the organizer. And also, this training will start from the Monday, 7 a.m. IST. Okay, yeah, all right. So we covered the required things in the demo. So if you have any doubt, any questions, let me know. And also most of the scenarios like will be deploying the scenario based, and also like most of the common scenarios will be explained. And if at all, if you want to showcase any specific scenarios, you can let me know. I can deploy, or I can say how we can host it in the cloud.
Yeah, hi
Yeah,
Ravi.
hi.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, go on, please, one by one.
Yeah, hi. I'm Santosh. So can we get these all the recorded videos if we want to go through after completing the course and all?
Yes, yes, you'll get access to your videos. You can go through that.
Okay,
Every
fine.
session,
Uh, okay, every session we have a video. Yeah.
that's right.
Okay, fine. And we'll get any material or any videos, study videos or something.
See, whatever I show here, no, the PPT. So this content, everything will be shared. Even you can download this.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll have any means practicals like that means we do after class at home
Yeah, yeah,
or
you can do.
kind of thing
Okay, one second.
scenario.
Yeah, yeah. Go with the Shiva and Srini. We don't have your contact details. Can please share your contact details to organizer so that we'll be in touch with you. Okay, please share your details. Yes, Srikanth. So you're
Okay.
asking
Yeah,
lab
just
session.
like the practical sessions after class, we can do at home. Do you give any
Yes,
work like that to do at home?
yes. So I'll be giving this a general admin task, like the task what you can perform.
Okay.
So you can go
Yeah.
to your task tab and you can perform it. And also there is a separate template I'll be sharing, like a lab scenarios. You can refer the scenario and you can try it from your end and you can do that.
Thanks, Ravi.
Yeah, hi Ravi.
Yeah, hi, Srinivas. Tell me.
Yeah, is this course content enough to get the job, or we need to add like a security or architect level?
See, even it depends upon the organization, right? So basically, when you see the service-based companies, they have a particular things like Azure Admin and Development, or Azure DevOps, or Azure Security. They have a particular JDs. But when you go with a few companies wherein they'll be asking additional things like security, as well as few parts in DevOps like CI/CD and containers and Kubernetes, a bit in depth in that. And also a few cases wherein we can see other things will be asked as per this one, what do you say, architect part. But yes, with Azure Admin also, yes, it's a good amount of knowledge what we'll be learning with respect to manage your Azure infrastructure. Yes, and along with that, like you can add up few things like along with this, you can add up like a CI/CD pipelines, and also like your few things like containers and Kubernetes, right? So a few things of a the DevOps content here as well.
Yeah, thank you.
But still, when you see
Hi,
the
hi
job,
Ravi. What is the duration of this course? Actually?
so this course will be 30 hours, minimum 30 hours, or it will be 30 plus hours. So we can say like 5 days a week. So it may go up to 6 to 7 weeks.
6 to 7 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. So if you see in India now, so even it depends upon company to company. You can see here what are the things they're asking. Azure AD, IAM, Azure AD Connect will be covering this, and so this is purely on IAM. So here you can say this is purely on IAM. Yes. So most of the things are covered here. Okay. And if you see other job description, we'll take this Accenture itself. So here you can see IAS, PAS, and SAS wherein they're asking. So if you see IAS, OMS, I'm not sure what that is. PowerShell patching is your inside the infrastructure backup, PaaS services, storage, and ServiceNow is a ticketing tool, right? Networking part and security, it's a kind of IAM plus other things inside and nothing else. Okay, so you can see. So if you see the cloud architect, there are a few things will be additionally asked. High level design, low level design for migration. Cloud Foundry, this is all the third party one. Kubernetes is anyways. Terraform is also third party one. So apart from that, you can see Azure IaaS and PaaS. And Jenkins is part of your DevOps. Ansible, this is your DevOps part, right? So this is how the additional things will be asked. And here you can see we'll be covering the Azure Compute, which is the VM app engine. I'm not sure what exactly they mean. So the cloud SQL is nothing but the PaaS. So here we just see the management of SQL, not in depth on that. This is your DevOps content. So these are the other tool storage. Yeah. So the required things are like will be almost covered in this. So if you look in IBM now, so IaaS and PaaS service, Azure RBAC, Azure Recovery Service Vault will be covered, Azure Load Balance will be covered, Energy will be covered, routing is not covered, VNet is covered, Azure Firewall is not covered here. There are few services wherein additionally you can learn it, or if required, you can tell me. I will cover that. Okay. Yeah, you can see now. Yeah. So these are the services wherein we're looking for. Shiva, we don't have your contact details. Can you please share your
Okay, I will share.
yeah, so that like any materials and other things can be shared to you. That's it, nothing else.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, so any other doubt, any other questions, please let me know. We can discuss that.
So you're covering the Kubernetes, right?
Kubernetes will be covering only introduction, so that's part of your Azure DevOps.
Okay.
Yeah, hi Ravi. Azure DevOps is one of the service in Azure, or that is different concept?
Yeah, I saw your message. I forgot to reply to that. See, Azure DevOps, wherein see DevOps is your on-prem one, whatever the tool you use to manage your development and infrastructure part. So now same thing if you want to do it in Azure, right? So there is a DevOps services in Azure. So that is what the content will be covered there. So yes, we can say it's a kind of tool in that you can use other services like your Ansible, Terraform, or the CI/CD pipeline, the Kubernetes. right? So all those things will be covered in the DevOps content. So when you're comparing your on-prem DevOps, so it's the same thing, right? So in the cloud, how do you run? So that's how it differs, nothing else. So if you know on-prem DevOps is a similar things there, but only thing, how do you manage in Azure? So that will be covered. But if you don't know DevOps, so those things will be covered in the Azure DevOps content.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So if you have any doubt, any questions, let me know. Okay, no worries. If at all, if you have any doubt, any questions, you can reach us back anytime. So we'll respond to that. Okay. The training will be starting from Monday, 7 a.m. IST, where we'll be seeing more about the Azure part.
Yeah, Ravi.
All right.
Okay, Ravi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. Thanks for your time. Appreciate that. Have a great day. So we'll connect back Monday where we'll start our training.